Alright guys, in today's video we're working on a problem in the passenger side rear door power window. There's a noise with this that we're going to try and diagnose whether it's the regulator or the motor. So the window's up right now, and if we try to go in the up direction, we hear this kind of Machine Gun Kelly sound going on here, right? If we bring it down, it sounds okay, but then as we go up, we get the machine gun sound there. So to tell exactly what it is, we're going to have to take this panel off. So that's what we're going to do first. I'll walk you through that, and then we'll go ahead and look inside, replicate the problem, and see which of the components needs to be replaced. All right, to get the trim off, we're going to start on the outer edge first. There's this special kind of push pin clip. We're going to push this center pin in with whatever tool that you've got that will let you do that. And then we're just going to carefully pull this guy up and away. That's one. The next guy we're going to do is this guy right here. Alright, so first off we're going to get this little plastic peg out of here with a plastic prying tool. It can be wedged in there really hard. And you want to kind of take note of how it came out, because the way the contours are, it's only going to go back in one way and have it kind of be flush. Inside here is going to be what looks like a Phillips, but it's actually a GIS bit. We're going to see if we can get it out with a number 2. It's way, way back in there. There he is. We'll see if we got it out all the way, we can get it out with a magnet. Nope, a little bit more. Just one thread is still attached. This guy can be real stubborn on coming out. I can just see him right there. That guy right there. So if we come up here, there's a little door right here. This pick is probably the best tool for this. Well, in this case, this little door is broken. Wow. There's supposed to be a little plastic hinge on this that you open up to see this next screw, but it looks like on this one, for some reason, it's broken. It's not an uncommon problem. Alright, so that screw is out. The other one, same kind of deal, just a different shape and a different size. Just work this plug out. And again, kind of take note of the shape and angle it was at so you can get it back in with the right contour. Now this particular screw kind of goes up at an angle. I don't even know if we, there he is. We got all this little foam stuff coming out of here. All right, there's that guy. All right, the next guy we're going to go after is this lever here. Now that screw is removed, there's a couple of tabs on the top and the bottom that we need to free up. We got the front, top one off. We got to get this bottom one to let go. All right, and then it's got a little hook here that goes on the inside. This needs to be replaced as well because of this being broken, but I've done videos like this in the past. I'll link something like that up in the upper right. All right, so with this screw, this cover, that pin out, last thing we got before we pull off the trim panel is this switch. It lifts up from the front. You don't want to do it from the back because it's got this retaining tab on the back. On the front, it's just this little spring. Give this guy a little squeeze so we can get him disconnected. Now, take a trim tool and pan all the way. Actually, you know what? We got to get another piece off on either side. So let me go reposition the camera. All right, so this little guy here, it's just a couple of pins. You got to watch out. Sometimes the little rubber thing that they sit in can pop out. And now, with that piece of trim removed, nothing else holding it but the door panel. Nothing else holding the door panel on, rather, I should say. Except these internal clips that are running along the perimeter. Let's go get the other side. All right. And that's it for this. All right, so now, last thing before we see what's going on, so you can see the angle that screw goes in up here. This one goes dead on, but that one goes in at an angle. We've got a little water deflector here that we want to carefully peel off. It's got like a butyl tape around the edge that holds it. Super sticky stuff. All right. Just going to kind of fold it over and actually use some of that stuff to stick it. All right, so we can catch a glimpse of the regulator here. Power window motor is kind of like roughly right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a flashlight sitting here, and I'm going to see if I can get you guys a view, and we'll see what's making that sound when we actuate this motor. All right, if you zoom in here, this is the little bracket I was telling you about. This is where that little clip is going to end up going. When we get ready to put it back on, we're going to push it out like this. That's going to allow it to go into this guy. And then you push the pin in and lock it. All right, so we've hooked the switch back up. And if we zoom in to this view on the mirror, what we can see is as we actuate this in the up direction, the motor is actually skipping on the gearing on the regulator. See? So if we actuate the regulator, the motor actually in the down position, you know, we don't hear anything. It's only when it gets to the end, and I've already examined, we can see right here what the other end of this looks like. There's a large stop and then the teeth. I was trying to see if there was a missing tooth or something, but that's not the case. So this looks exactly the same on the other end, but you get it where it kind of trips on the teeth and pops out. So I can't say that that is the regulator yet. It could be a tooth on the motor. We're going to have to do a little bit more diagnosis. All right, inside with a remote camera. Give you another view of what's happening when we're going up. All right, guys, it's the regulator. I want you to watch this piece where the two ends are pressed together. I'm going to go ahead and go in the up direction now. Got to watch my hand in here. Just watch that piece in the middle. See, that piece is worn off and not holding. All right, so we go in the other direction. It pops up. See? We go in the up direction. It goes down. And it's allowing the motor to go past the stop. So this door needs a new regulator. All right, guys, we got our parts, so let's go about doing the repair now. I've got this water shield clipped up here at the top because our butyl tape was just given out and not holding it on. So these kind of yellowish zinc rather plated bolts, these 10 millimeters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are associated with holding the power window motor and regulator assembly. There's two more though that hold the glass. So we're going to need to lower the window down. And there's the other two, here and here. So these two actually go straight through the glass. So we're first going to take those out. And just because they're going through the glass, I'm just going to remove them by hand. Now before you start this job, you're going to need a tool to hold the glass while we service the regulator. And the tool I'm going to show you uses suction cups. So we cleaned the glass before we did this so that they'll stick. So let me show you what we're going to do above. But basically from below, what we're going to do is we're going to get our hands through here. We're going to work this little retainer loose. It's going to be sticking to the glass. There. There. And now what we should be able to do is we should be able to lift the glass. Just like that. And we want these things to stay. Well, I guess they could stay on. I was going to try and take them off and clean up the glass here, but we'll just leave them on here. It's important that they stay, though, because this is where the bolt's going to go through here and then into the threaded part of the regulator here and here. We just need to have this little kind of bushing carrier stay put. I'll just leave them on the glass. All right, so let me get you a better view of what I'm doing by lifting up on this. All right, so the tool I'm using is from Lyle. I'll put a link below in the description. It attaches to the glass on one side. Then you're going to bring it up. And you're going to loop it over and attach it on the other side. And again, you know, you want to make sure you've gotten it clean because that's going to relate to how effective this tool is. But if you get the glass clean, you got two of them here, it's pretty safe. All right, now let's go return down below. All right, guys, let's first get this power window motor connector. So if you zoom in on this guy, I'm going to go in behind here with my finger, and I'm going to press the tab on this side, get that off. And then I'm just going to come in here with a trim tool and see if I can get the other side. Okay. And then to separate the motor from the harness, I'm just going to depress this middle guy. And then to get the motor out, this piece just unclips. And there's our motor harness. Now we're going to remove these fasteners here. And you can see this And this are little locating tab retainers for the harness. I guess I should have said for the regulator. All right, I believe that's all of the fasteners. So this little tab already popped out. I think right here is the only thing holding them. You want to watch your fingers with this thing, get it kind of collapsed before you try to move it around. There we go. And it should, in theory, come right through this opening that the factory left for us. Right like that. All right, so we are replacing this regulator with a genuine Toyota one. Here's the problem that we saw in the camera. If you kind of zoom in here, you can see that this stamped fitting here is all torn up. We're going to have to get a Torx, looks like maybe a T30. We'll have to get a Torx to take the motor off the regulator. All right, just a brief shot of the service manual from Toyota. Just want to get the torque value for any fasteners that have a specification. So those bolts, those 10 millimeters that held this regulator to the door, they're going to go back in at 49 inch-pounds. They are recommending that you use multi-purpose grease on the regulator rollers, and they do not provide a torque value for the 3 torque screws that are holding the motor to the regulator, so I guess those are just going to be gluten tight. All right, let's go ahead and put the new one in. All right, we're going to separate the motor from the regulator with a T25. Torx bit. And we're going to inspect the teeth on the motor. Hopefully we have not had any damage occur because of this problem with the regulator. Okay. So we've got some metal shavings in here from where it's been skipping around. See if we can get those out with a magnet. Right. Let's see, there's one more there. Yep. And then we'll put some fresh grease on this before we put it back together. I want to get most of those shavings off. Those shavings look like they were coming off the regulator, though, rather than the motor, so I think we're okay here as far as the motor goes. All right. Now with the tension off that guy, we can see better how this was clacking and moving around with this problem. All right, so what are we replacing it with? They're different on the left hand and right hand. We're working on the left hand rear. So that's going to be a Toyota 69804 AA010. I'll put the number for this one and the one for the other side rear in the description of the video. Now this thing is really messy because they coat it with white lithium grease from the factory. making sure everything lines up okay. All right, so I'm going to get some grease. Actually, you know what? This is pretty caked already. I'm going to clean up this old grease. I'm going to just put a little bit more white lithium on here. So I'm going to take a little intermission, guys. I'm going to clean this up, and then we'll come back. All right, let's put the motor back into position. Now that we've got some grease on it, we cleaned all the old grease off. Just going to get these started, and then we'll make sure that the teeth are lined up. You can see right, I don't know if you guys can see it, but you can look right through that little hole right there, and you'll be able to see the teeth sitting on the regulator gear. It's difficult to see, but it's there. All right, so we can go ahead and tighten these down. Good and tight, since there was nothing specified in the service manual. The service manual did not specify any type of Loctite, nor did we find any on the original fasteners, so we're not using any. It made it 25 years like this. It'll be fine. All right, now we're ready to get this guy back in. There's that little hook, this alignment nub, alignment tab, and an alignment tab. So we're going to take note of all those as we try to get this back in. Now, I reused this motor only because it's a Toyota. If you had some aftermarket piece of crap on there, you probably would want to get rid of it and put something OEM. All right, let's go ahead and get this guy back in the way we got him out. Let's take this harness through here before it gets damaged. All right, we'll start with this upper alignment hole and tab like that, and we'll get it retained by this bolt here, and then we'll bring this guy down into position here. Get it retained on this bolt. And then that'll let us put this one in. And this one in. And this one in. Whoops. Well, gotta go find out where that one is. We can get this one in. All right, so we got that tab there, we got that tab there, we got this tab here, and then we got this guy here. We'll just snug these up a little bit. And we'll come back and torque them in just a minute. Okay, now we'll run this guy through here again. We'll connect him up, push him back in there, and now we want to run this regulator back down so that we can get the glass back down. So now we're going to have to lower the glass by hand. I think we'll go ahead and lower the glass, and then we'll torque these bolts along with those two after we get the glass in position. So let me get some of this stuff out of the way, and we'll lower the glass back. All right, we're releasing our tool that's holding the glass so that we can let it come down. Getting it down nice and easy. sure it goes in front of this. All right, so now I got to get in front of the camera here, so let me pause for a second. All right, so if you stay zoomed in around here, what I'm having to do is manipulate the glass so that we can get this special shouldered bolt to go through the glass and engage on the regulator threading. Just going to use this guy. I'm definitely not going to use a power tool on glass because I want to be able to feel how tight it's getting. Okay. Same thing on this one. I want to work it around until it feels like it's lined up. You can see the threads straight through. All right, we haven't torqued anything yet. We're going to take our Lisle retaining tool off. We are going to go ahead and see if everything seems to be functioning okay. Okay, no more popping when we try to go up and it's already up, so good, that problem's fixed. And no noise. So all we have left to do is torque these 10 millimeters and reverse and put everything back on. All right, 49 inch-pounds on these guys. And on these guys. These I'm going to go much slower. There we go, 49 inch-pounds. Okay. No binding, everything works great. All right, so now we can put our water shielding back in position. And we have to take this guy off again. This tucks in here. Okay, now we're ready to put the door trim panel back on. All right, before you hang this guy back on, make sure all these retaining clips are all still installed, right? There's 5 of them. If you're missing any, I'll put a link in the description for the replacements. All right, we're going to replace that broken bezel with a 69-278 AAO10-EO being the color. Like I mentioned, I'll link a different video in the upper right. It covers replacing these. It'll have all the part numbers for all the different types. All right, guys, the job is done. We've got everything repaired. Works great. I'll put part numbers down in the description, like I mentioned, for all the pieces we used, as well as some of the things I mentioned. If you got questions or comments, leave them below, and I'll try to help. If this video showed you how to do something yourself and saved you money, I'd appreciate you paying it forward and hitting that like button. And as always, thanks for watching.